Coach, you've talked a lot all season about wanting to be a disciplined football team. Coming off the penalties in week one, what have you emphasized this week to fix that against the Chiefs?
Yeah, if I start emphasizing something in the in the middle of the season, then I haven't been doing my job prior to. So again, we obviously always talk about the things that you can control on tape. We have a team meeting every single day to talk about the practice. Have a team meeting every time coming off of a game. So we address those things in team meetings. Everyone's accountable, coaches, players, everybody. So you just emphasize it and you continue to emphasize it.
What do you make of your depth at tight end if Dallas is unable to go?
Yeah, I think we have, obviously we have some guy. Grant's done a really good job of stepping in and playing when Dallas hasn't been able to play these last couple years. Um, and really excited about Kylan and the things he can do. And I like our guys, both of our guys that are on practice squad, um, have had meaningful reps in games. Whether Cam was in San Francisco or EJ played a lot for us last year and did really good job on special teams for us. Both developing players, so really excited about those guys. And I think sometimes that's rare that you have those guys on the practice squad that have played and have contributed and that you can trust right at the beginning of the season. And so I believe that that's where that room is, and excited about that room.
Both those guys are known more for ball catching, receiving. In college, they didn't block much. How do you feel in that regard, if in general, and if Dallas can't go?
Yeah, obviously when we put a guy on the field or we put a guy, in a game situation, we feel good. Everybody, has different strengths and weaknesses, but we feel good about the rounded player of that room of those guys. EJ's interesting in the sense that yeah, he played wide receiver in college, but now he has worked so hard to be a good point of attack. That's what he's been working on for the past 2 years that he's been here. And so you feel really good about that. Same with Cam. Cam is big, strong, physical football player that has the tools in his body to do that. Those types of things. So that's what you work on. That's what you practice. That's why you go through off season. That's why you go through training camp to develop guys, continue to develop their strengths, and then obviously anything that you deem that they need work on.
Nick, what have you seen from Jalen Carter this week in practice, coming off of obviously the NCAA?
Yeah, just hard work and going through the meetings and walkthroughs and practice. With the intent of just going and playing his best game. And so, you're gonna, we always talk about, practice is a good indicator of what the game will be like, and he's had a good week. We've talked a lot about embracing adversity this week and being able to be focused at the task at hand. That's what I've seen. And I'm excited that he'll be out there playing with us.
You've coached there. The two new guys, how have they looked through 2 days of practice? I mean, Zadarius and Tank, obviously. And do you think Tank would be ready to assume like some running back load if Will Shipley can't play?
Yeah, we'll see. But their coaches and them have Zadarius and Tank have done a really good job of putting in the extra work to make sure they know what's going on, because easiest way to give up a big play on defense and vice versa on offense is to not be on the same page. So those guys have worked hard. Their position coaches, Jamal and Coach Singleton and Wash, have done a really good job of catching them up. We'll see where they are. Got another day of practice and another day of meetings before we get into anything. And so, but I'm really pleased with how hard they've worked to get themselves catched up. That's always a challenge at this time. And again, like I said to you guys, there's never like a handbook to say, this is when a guy's ready. You go through practice, you see if he is, and then you make a decision from there.
You've been on both sides of the fence. You've coached there. You've gone in there a lot as the opposition. What makes Arrowhead so difficult? Everybody talks about such a difficult environment.
First of all, I mean, it's a really good football team with really good players, obviously very well coached. And then, it's a loud atmosphere. I know they take a lot of pride in it being loud, and it is loud. And so you have to, handling adversity is not just bad, maybe bad things that happen. It's putting yourself in, situations. We try to do this at practice, loud situations at practice, and make it making yourself uncomfortable so you can be as comfortable as you can when you get into these moments. So, communication will be key. I'm probably saying it's something that everybody says when they go in there and play, and what they say when they come in here and play. That communication will be key, and handling adversities will be key. And, that's the key to go in there and being able to be on the same page through the chaos.
Think you'll hear more from the fans, considering how you left the building last time, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I can't concern myself with that, maybe.
As a follow-up to Jeff's previous question, what in the absence of Dallas, what factors into using a sixth O lineman compared to an extra tight end?
Yeah, good question. I'll answer portions of it that I don't think, I'm giving anything away. Obviously, all those things are thought through. You don't, obviously there's things you can do with a tight end on the field that you can't do with an offensive lineman on the field, and sometimes vice versa. And so you weigh the plays that are in and figure out what's in, and what you can accomplish both on. And you kind of go through it that way. I don't think you see many times where, and the answer can be, yeah, there's some for this guy, and then there's some for this guy at one position, the other position. I don't think I've ever seen anyone go exclusively with the big tight, with the offensive lineman there. You could, but you kind of just weigh those things and weigh the things on some of the scheme you're doing, some of the blocking assignments you're doing, some of the pass routes that you're doing, and you make decisions on every one of those things and every one of those plays, just very similar to what you would do when you're designing, or you're thinking about one of your plays and you want to put your guys in positions where they can succeed the most.
Yesterday's second one was talking about how his favorite part of the game is the adjustment part of the game. I know it's only been one game, but what is that process like, with kind of adjusted staff, and how that plays out in the middle of the game?
Yeah, same as it's been. All right, there's certain things that you have philosophies on, and so really I say, yeah, maybe it's only been one game this year, but we've been, Kevin, a lot of the staff has been, the same throughout, and especially on offense, and so a lot of the similarities, and it is. You always got to be ready to adjust, and especially when you're, good on offense. You're going to see some things that you didn't quite expect, and then also that's the case for Coach Spag's defense. You're going to see some things you might not have expected. So being able to adjust is critical to help put our players in positions to succeed.
All right.